The Oscars are the most watched and most important award show of the year, no matter how badly they sometimes get it wrong, both the voters and the presenters. You remember 2017? Winning an Oscar can literally change someone's life and bring in some big bills for the studio. And even though it's an ancient institution, the Oscars continue to show that they are that bitch. For all the times they don't get it right, an incredible win happens and makes up for it all. I'm gonna go over why this year, despite a couple of major snubs, the Academy got it right. Aloha and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jake and I'm an artist who talks all things movies and TV while I make a rug, but not today because we gotta get down to business. Although if you stick around to the end, I might give you a little sneak peek of what I'm working on for the next video. Before we get into the nominations, let's talk about the Academy process and how a movie goes from premiere to win. If you'd like to skip this part, see the chapters below. Let's first cover what the Academy is and how a film gets nominated. The Academy is made up of about 10,000 members from 80 different countries around the world. We don't know specifics because it's basically a secret society. Historically, the Academy has been a lot of white menses, but I'll give it to them. They have stepped up their diversity in the last couple years. It's hard to get stats on exactly how much diversity, but the latest stats we have are from 2018, where it was 32% women and 18% diversity. We can do better than that though, can't we? The Academy is extremely exclusive. You must be recommended by another member or be nominated for an Oscar yourself. In that case, you're automatically in. Now, how do you get nominated in the first place? A movie going for the general categories must meet 3 major qualifications. 1, it needs to premiere the year before the award ceremony takes place. 2, in order to be considered a feature film, it must be over 40 minutes. And 3, it must run for at least a week in a Los Angeles theater. The Academy is broken up into branches for every aspect of a film. Voters nominate candidates that are associated with that branch's specialty, and then everyone votes on Best Picture. Which I think is really smart because we don't need editors over here voting for hair and makeup. Even though I'm sure a few of those girls are a little, but you gotta focus on your specialization of your situation. Every year before the Academy votes on nominations, they receive a big-ass list called Reminder List of Productions Eligible for the 95th Academy Awards. Really rolls off the tongue. This list contains every eligible film released that year and the names of the actors and actresses they'd like considered for the big categories. It's crazy to think that hundreds of films are submitted every year and only a handful make it to the big night. I mean, this year, the fucking thing was 44 pages. 44 pages. From that huge list, another list is made. Lots of lists. They love a list. And if I were a voter, I'd say yes, bitch, please make it shorter because I don't know, there's way too much going on. Once preliminary voting is over, they receive a short list, which they then use to place their votes for nominations. Trends and popular performances used to play a huge role in determining the winners, but over the last 15 years, we've seen the rise of film festivals, which paves the yellow brick road to the Oscars. And there are 5 film festivals that do the paving: Sundance, Cannes, Venice, Telluride, and TIFF. Now, if your film can make it here, it can make it anywhere, aka the Oscars. But the Academy doesn't live under a rock. They're also influenced by pop culture, word of mouth, and media. That includes social media, which has played a huge part in the last few years. If your film is being talked about more than the others, the voters are going to hear about it. And with every awards show, marketing is everything. Another element to consider is how well these films perform at award ceremonies leading up to the nominations. Recently, the Golden Globes, the SAG Awards, and the Critics' Choice Awards. Now, we're not even going to talk about the Razzies and how they nominated a child for Worst Actor this year, and then rescinded their nomination because they realized that was a bad move, apologized to the actress, and released an age limit for nominations. Girl, you're irrelevant. I love making fun of somebody just as much as the next person, but come on. How about we announce we're getting rid of the Razzies? Do people care? Instead of changing the age, how about we change it to just not giving out any awards at all? I'm sorry. You know I get passionate. Once the votes are in, the accounting organization PwC comes in and tabulates and calculates the top 5 most voted nominees for each category and the top 10 for Best Picture. Once the nominations are announced, it's open season. The members get to vote on every category, no matter which branch they belong to. The biggest category of all is, of course, Best Picture. Not only because it's the final award of the evening, but because it'll determine the future of the movie and everyone involved. From here, the voters go back to the voting board and start placing their final votes. They'll have from now to the week of the Oscars to make their final decisions. Yeah, they cut it real close. PwC then calculates the winner of each category, which is the one with the most votes. But Best Picture works a little differently. They use preferential voting. This means the voters will rank all nominees for Best Picture from 1 to 10. If there's no movie that reaches at least 50% of the vote, the lowest ranking movie is dropped. And those votes go to the next movie in line. They continue this process until one movie finally reaches 51%, and that's your Best Picture. The results get sealed up and are closely guarded. Now I say closely guarded, not well guarded, because, that one year. Pure comedy, the wrong winner announced for the biggest award. The whole thing was emotionally traumatizing. They didn't even get their moment, and the Oscar for Best Picture goes to Moonlight. It all just kind of happened so quickly. I just know the people holding the briefcases that year are never going to be allowed back to the Oscars, that's for sure. Now you know what it takes to get to the big night, so let's talk about this year's nominations. I might make a few predictions, but I'm going to save most of them for another video closer to the ceremony. We still got quite a bit of time in between, so anything could happen. Let's start with directing. This category has got 5 nominations, technically 6, all men. Not all men, all men. We really need to think about expanding this category. Maybe we shouldn't do 5, maybe we should do 10 like Best Picture gets. Because like I said, hundreds of movies are submitted, 44 pages, and you're telling me only 5 could be up for Best Director. Maybe the Academy needs to take a good hard look at the system and tweak a little bit. I love that A Swede was nominated. I didn't really get Triangle of Sadness, not as much as I thought I would from the trailer. Once Act 2 hit, it all kind of went downhill for me. I will say that I think Ruben did a great job, but I think this award for directing is going to Spielberg. The Fabelmans is a love letter to cinema and to Steven's parents. I'm out here calling people by their first name like I know them. Hey, Steven. Hi. Can I please audition for one of your movies? I've got acting experience. I'm a little funny. Singer, dancer, actor, writer, producer, model, magician. Okay, I'm not actually a magician. Don't ask me to do any tricks. Speaking of magic, though, this movie lets us peek behind the curtain of how Steven became one of the greatest directors of all time, of how Steven became Spielberg. It was beautiful, it was emotional, it was Spielberg. Moving into cinematography, I think we're missing 2 big names here, Top Gun Maverick and Nope. Jordan Peele and the DP Hoyte van Hoytema worked hard to make several visual references that blended seamlessly with a tension-filled story that kept you on the edge of your seat the entire movie. Top Gun Maverick did something similar with all the shots and the jets, with the twisty, swirly, salute-de-loops. All things that should be recognized. On to visual effects. Do we even need to talk about it? Avatar: The Way of Water. Yes. It's been anticipated for 13 years. If she doesn't win visual effects, then I don't know who's in that branch. Half of them are probably asleep. On to music original song. We've got Applause, Hold My Hand, Lift Me Up, Natu, and This Is a Life. It would be cool to see RRR take this, since they weren't nominated for International Feature Film, but they weren't even on the shortlist for that, so that's that. Natu is one long-ass dance sequence, and every year all the original song nominees perform live during the ceremony, so I am so excited to see what they're going to do. And honestly, they should just open the show. That would be riveting, and it would pull in lots of viewers, because Bollywood, it's big. And this movie, big. And that man, big. Diane Warren is back with her 14th Oscar nomination. You better work that fedora, mama. Her song Applause is nominated, featuring Sophia Corson. I see this woman's name on the ballot every single year, and she never gets it. Cher awarded Diane an honorary Oscar in November. But damn, after 14 nominations, we should be giving her a real Oscar. Not honorary, just Oscar. Lift Me Up is gonna take it. It's Rihanna's first song in years. That, combined with the meaning behind the movie and remembering Chadwick, yeah, she's a winner, baby. Music original score, I thought that other movies that were nominated could have made it into this category. Most of all being Ludwig Göransson for Wakanda Forever. He did the first Black Panther and The Mandalorian. He's a relatively young composer who is completely brilliant. I've seen all the BTS footage of him talking about how he makes these funky-ass sounds, how he creates ambiance. He deserved a nomination, especially because not only did he have to stay consistent with his work from the first movie and create that Wakanda vibe, but he also had to create a sonic environment for a whole other underwater world. 2 worlds in 1 movie. That bitch was over there working overtime. I already know it. Busy. And with that said, Justin Hurwitz is fabulous in anything he works on, so I would love to see him win for Babylon. Let's talk one more category before we move into the big ones, acting and Best Picture. Animated feature film. The nominees are Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, The Sea Beast, and Turning Red. Past winners include Coco, Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse, Toy Story 4, Soul, and Encanto. Historically, we've seen Disney take this almost every year for the past 5 years. More specifically, Pixar, with the exception of last year with Encanto, which was Walt Disney Animation Studios. I love seeing The Sea Beast here. I thought it was a really sweet movie. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, bitch. If I had a wish, it would be for Puss in Boots to win this category because it was that good. This film was dazzling. Out of all the nominees, it has the highest rated audience score, which is well deserved because it's got an impeccable art style. The detail is detailed, and the pusses. And Harvey as that weird-ass dog, an Oscar-winning performance. It's funny, it's sweet, it's extremely creative, it's crazy, funky, kooky. It's who I would love to win. Starting with actor in a supporting role, we've got Brendan Gleeson, Brian Tyree Henry, Judd Hirsch, Barry Keoghan, and Ke Huy Quan. Now, we know who this is going to. This award is going to Ke, an actor who took a break for over 20 years because he didn't see any roles for Asian actors that weren't a stereotype. Until he saw Crazy Rich Asians, which had an all-Asian cast, and he was then inspired to put himself back out there. And I'm so glad he did, because his performance in Everything Everywhere was so beautiful, and he absolutely deserves to be recognized for it. Plus, he's already won a Golden Globe, so he's gonna need to get a big shelf for all these awards. Okay. I love that Brian Tyree Henry is nominated here for Causeway. He's had some really good performances recently, including one that I really loved in Bullet Train. Ryan and Aaron Taylor Johnson had insane chemistry, and honestly, I'd watch a spin-off movie with just them two. And the way Brian mastered that accent, I don't know how you do that. You gotta work with a linguistinator or something, because it sounded like he was from the Cockney, from the Cock. And Aaron with that stash, oh, forgive me, I'm quivering. Yeah. I'm not quite sure about seeing Judd Hirsch here. I would have much rather that had gone to Paul Dano, but he wasn't recognized for any of his roles, not for the Batman, not for the Fablemans, not for the anything. But, you know, go off acting branch. On to actor in a leading role. We've got Austin Butler, Colin Farrell, Brendan Fraser, Paul Mescal, and Bill Nye. This category gets a little crazy. You know how much buzz there's been around Austin and that accent that just won't go away? It seems he went real method and now he can't get out of it. He claims he had the accent before the movie. His voice teacher says it's genuine and it's probably gonna be there forever. And I'm convinced the bitch doesn't even know that he still has it and he just can't get rid of it. But my question is, how are you gonna play any other character with that voice? This man is from Anaheim, California, the home of Disneyland. He doesn't have a southern accent in the first place, unless you consider Southern Californian accent. Yeah, bro, gets the ways, yeah, gnarly, bro, wicked. Now that's a SoCal accent. That's not a Southern accent. So I don't know what's going on in there, but one of the screws is loose. The critics have been loving Colin Farrell and the Banshees, and just Banshees in general. We've been hearing so many good things about Brendan Fraser in The Whale. While I'm not obsessed with the movie, I love him. I love that he's making a comeback. I think it's insane that the industry offed him and blacklisted him for coming out and speaking his truth and talking about something that he should have said at the time, but he was scared of the backlash, and that's exactly what he got, which is so fucking stupid, but that's another video for another day. Paul Mescal. Let me say that again. Paul Mescal. Let me tell you what I've been hearing from all the critics and film twinks on Twitter. Paul doesn't have a lot of acting experience. Okay, but honestly, it really doesn't matter, because if you're delivering performance, then you absolutely deserve to be nominated. But he's going to get experience because he's going to be booked after this. I'm so glad Paul is nominated here for After Sun. It's an indie moment, and God, is it good. A lot of these movies are being reissued back into theaters, so make sure you check them out. Now we need to talk about the elephant in the room. The big-ass elephant in the room that flies jet planes and is associated with a certain organization. Yes, I'm talking about Tom Cruise. I can already picture him smashing glasses and plates and flipping fucking tables at 5:45 a.m. at his mansion with the housing staff, pissed because he didn't get his nomination for Top Gun Maverick after coming back all these years later. Honestly, he was good, but I think Tom is going to get his moment in the sun next year with a nomination for his performance in Mission Impossible, which comes out this summer, for driving a motherfucking bike off a motherfucking cliff, tossing the bike, flying squirrel, and not dying several times at the age of 60. That's insane. So if he doesn't get nominated for that, then I don't know what he'll be nominated for. On to the Queens of the Golden Castle, actress in a supporting role: Angela Bassett, Hong Chow, Carrie Condon, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Stephanie Hsu. Stephanie Hsu, I could barely contain my excitement because you were snubbed the entire award season, and now you're recognized on the biggest stage. It's incredible. Moving to the big screen and now being an Academy Award nominee, everything's going to change for her. Jamie Lee Curtis, I'm so sorry, babes. You were fantastic as Deirdre, the IRS auditor, but I don't think she should be here, for this performance at least. We could have used this spot for another actress, and by another actress, I mean Dolly De Leon for Triangle of Sadness. If you love Triangle of Sadness so much, how come you didn't put her in here? I will say, though, that this is Jamie's first nomination, so it is iconic and historic, and I don't want to take any of that away from her. Especially considering that she's been part of the Halloween franchise for how many years? 44, and hasn't been nominated for a single one of those. Oh, that's right, the Academy doesn't like horror films. Oh, Lord. But you like a film about a woman going around the country in an RV. I liked that movie, but I'm just pointing out the obvious. Because not only did they like it, they gave it Best Picture. Jamie also didn't get a nomination for her role in the classic, iconic, early 2000s cinematic masterpiece that is Freaky Friday, starring alongside Lindsay Lohan, which she absolutely deserved. So I'm fine with her getting a nomination here. Academy Award nominee, Jamie Lee Curtis, iconic. So glad to see Hong Chow being recognized here for her performance in The Menu. I mean, The Whale. God, she's so good. Tortillas deliciosas.
These are tortillas. Tortillas deliciosas.
Yeah, so she should win just for that. If we're talking best performance, I think that would come from Carrie Condon from The Banshees. I think it's a performance that the Academy appreciates, but ultimately, this is going to Angela Bassett. I love her in anything she's in. I mean, I watch fucking 911. She slays it every time. She puts her heart into every role, no matter how big or small, simple or complex. And I think this would be a way to recognize not only her performance in Wakanda Forever, but all the hard work she's put in throughout her career. Part of my prediction calculation comes from Wakanda Forever not being nominated for Best Picture, despite being nominated in several other categories. On to actress in leading role. We've got Cate Blanchett, Ana de Armas, Andrea Riseborough, Michelle Williams, and Michelle. Oh, yes, bitch. Can you say stacked? I have opinions, as usual. Let's first talk the snubs. Viola Davis for The Woman King. I don't know why the fuck she wasn't nominated, because she's a woman of a particular age, and she's out here with arms, lifting weights, training 8 hours a day for months at a time. And not only did she give an Oscar-worthy performance, but she fought those bitches down to the fucking ground. I mean, she was slitting throats in the first 5 minutes. And for what? To not be recognized in this category? Whatever. She's got one anyway. For supporting, it'd be nice for leading role award, but it's alright. Next sub, Yale Deadweiler for Till. This woman, she can cry at the drop of a hat. She serves so much pure, real emotion that it makes her eyes roll in the back of her head. Okay, when have we seen that? When have we seen that? Never. We've seen a lot of this. We've seen a lot of that. But we haven't seen a lot of what Dell gave. She can also show everything she's feeling just through her eyes. And yet, I don't see her here. I hope that these women feel appreciation and support from everyone around them, because they gave incredible performances that they should be proud of. Performances that will be remembered. And somebody better put Danielle in something good soon. Keep this woman working, because I have a feeling she's going to give us many more incredible moments. Okay, let's finally talk the bizarre campaign for Andrea Riseborough. She's nominated for To Leslie, which is a very indie movie that not a lot of people have seen. And then suddenly on social media a few weeks ago, a bunch of actresses were posting about Andrea saying she's got a brilliant performance, nominate her, nominate her. I don't get this because I haven't even heard of the film. And I'm not the ultimate movie queen, but I'm still confused. If you would have said she was nominated for her performance in Matilda for all those fucking facials, now that I would be on board with. I'll be honest, I haven't seen To Leslie yet, but then I'll watch it this weekend. Maybe I'll come back with my thoughts in the prediction video. And I don't want to take anything away from her because maybe her performance was brilliant. And the latest update is, the Academy is going to do an investigation. What are you going to do? Leave this woman alone. You gave her the nomination, let her keep it. And don't go trying to change rules for next year because there are other situations where you could change rules, but this isn't one of them. This production didn't have a lot of money for marketing and promo to try to get an Oscar. So they had some famous people say some things, and I guess that influenced some voters. I just hope that the integrity of the Academy wasn't compromised in that. I hope that whoever voted for her actually watched the movie and her performance and genuinely recognized her performance as Oscar-worthy. Because if they didn't, that's fucked. Ana de armas, Ana de armas, Ana de armas. You were the best thing about Blonde. She shouldn't be here. I'm sorry. She did what she could. I wish we could nominate past performances. That would defeat the purpose. But she could have been nominated for Knives Out. She definitely wasn't nominated for that movie. Was called with Ben Affleck, Deepwater Horizon, or Deepest Water, or In the Water, and not the Shallow Area. Couple of other people I could have seen here. Naomi Ackie for I Want to Dance with Somebody, the Whitney Houston biopic. She was so good. Mia Goth for Pearl. Because even though I didn't really like Pearl, but if anybody's giving method, she's giving method. She also did an interview recently for Infinity Pool where she basically said, I'm paraphrasing, the Academy never gives them enough recognition, which I agree with. What, are they too scared to watch it, or? Because they nominated All Quiet on the Western Front, an anti-war German movie about fighting on the front lines of World War I. Just watch the first 5 minutes and you tell me that the Academy couldn't bear to watch a horror movie. I'm not talking about a slasher. I'm talking about a proper horror movie with a strong narrative, with character development, whatever. I had to get in there. Maybe one day. I'd love to be in the Academy. One day. Kate Blanchett in Tar, Lydia Tar, Linda Tar. This is by far one of her best performances in years. I mean, she came out here with big words, speaking German and speaking French, and conducting and playing the piano, and working a tucked-in button-up into some pants, working a lesbian. She's brilliant in anything. She could read me a math book, and I'd be hypnotized. Todd Field wrote this movie for her and said that if she hadn't accepted the role, this movie probably wouldn't have seen the light of day. Very dramatic. I love it. This was also a film that wasn't heavily marketed. I mean, what is going on in the marketing department for these movies? Are they just not getting enough of the budget? And if they aren't, they should. That doesn't make any sense to me. It's great to see Kate in this category, and I'm sure Lydia is proud. And finally, Michelle Yeoh. Yep. For her performance in Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. I love this movie, and Michelle in this movie is absolutely breathtaking. She just has natural talent and charisma that captures the audience. Michelle took this character, brought it home, and made us feel like we were in the movie with her. I think this is one of her most iconic roles, and it's something that she's going to be known for. It's that time. Let's talk the biggie. Best Picture. Interesting seeing Triangle of Sadness here, especially since there were films nominated in other categories that weren't nominated here. Like, where is Black Panther Wakanda Forever? Is the Academy just being stingy because they don't want to nominate a Marvel movie? Because of the things that maybe Quentin Tarantino and Martin Scorsese said? I don't know. But where is it? Triangle of Sadness did really well in the film festival circuit, so it makes sense. And it is a good movie. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I just don't know how it ended up here. But I'm glad they're giving less mainstream movies a chance. Happy to see women talking here, but like I said earlier, Sarah Polley should have been nominated for directing. And another one that's missing a directing nomination, but their movie is here, is Baz Luhrmann for Elvis. Especially because he doesn't do a lot of movies. He's very particular about the projects that he does, but the ones that he does do are grand, bright, sparkly, musical, stunning. He puts a lot into his work, as a lot of people do, so I'm just confused as to why he didn't get a directing nomination. Honestly, these are all very strong movies. Any one of them could take it. The Banshees of Inisherin have a solid shot, especially because of their performance at the Golden Globes. But we might get a sweeping shocker, and it could go to Everything Everywhere, because it has 11 nominations, the most out of everybody. I've been keeping it calm, cool, and collected about this movie, but you know what? It's time for me to give it its own section in this video. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. I know. I haven't said that about a movie since Bridesmaids, which is my number one. When I watch it, it's basically a fucking sing-along because I know most of the words. She greets him in the evening, Beaver first. Oh, Helen knows the owner. Big whoop. Hello, Grandpa. There's just so many. Dessert wine is out. Consuelo? Speaking of Consuelo, Lily and I took Spanish class together. It's okay, I can't. I'll be here all night. I didn't even know what to expect going into this movie. People just said it was crazy, and that really could mean anything. But when I tell you I came out of that theater feeling so many things, I mean, I can't even put it into words, and I'm rarely ever speechless. There's a video on the Cinematography channel where they talk about this movie, and you gotta check it out. One major theme they explore is nihilism. What's the point of us being here? Is there a purpose, or literally no purpose at all? We don't matter. Like, we're just a speck in the universe. It's really an interesting concept to examine, so that on top of the mother-daughter relationship, it just has you asking so many questions. You then reevaluate a lot of things in your own life, which I think is what art's supposed to do. That's what movies are supposed to do. Get you thinking, get people talking. Of course, movies are a great way to escape reality, take you to a different place, a different time, but it can also be a beautiful mirror that forces you to reflect on your own existence. This movie has got comedy, drama, cultural themes, dicks. Lots of dicks. The Daniels love dicks, and I love that. I mean, the lead character is an older Asian woman who, on the surface, is very basic, but by the end of the movie, she is anything but. Then you've got Stephanie Hsu out here doing the Lord's work, delivering us a million different characters. This bitch knows how to act. Call her Professor Hsu. Can I get an amen? Hallelujah. She said, you want me to be a sickening gay icon? I can do that. You want me to be a psycho talking about getting into a bagel? I can do that. You want me to be a fucking rock who can't even talk, literally communicates with subtitles? I can do that. The bitch can do it all. And Ki Hui Kwan, another fantastic performance, which I already talked about earlier, but that guy can swing the shit out of a fanny pack. And honestly, I can't wait to see more of him. I'm so surprised that this has gotten as many nominations as it has, but I shouldn't be because this movie is brilliant. It started as an indie underdog darling, and now it's a full race to Best Picture contender. It's incredible. Okay, those are all my thoughts. A lot, I know. I'll release another video when it gets a little closer to the Oscars with my predictions. And in that video, I'll remind you to print out your ballot so we can predict them together. I promised I'd give you a sneak peek, so here it is. I'm working on a Valentine's Day video starring your favorite rom-com star, Keanu Reeves. Listen, girl, I just watched all 3 John Wick movies for the first time, and I think you'll be surprised by my opinion, and I will share that in the video. It's going to be a fun one, so look out for that video on February 14th. And if you'd like a little more of me, I've got a video waiting for you right over there. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch my video, and I hope you enjoyed it. My name is Jake, and may the power protect you always. I'll see you next time. Bye.